Hi everyone, my name's Ellen. I do a lot of work with children and young people, talking to them about their digital behaviour, talking about the sorts of things that they do online, talking about being good digital citizens, how they use Twitter, and thinking about sort of having a positive attitude to using technology. I'm fascinated by how technology is changing how children grow up these days. From a very early stage, even before they've popped out of their mum's tummies, children have got a digital footprint. So in the form of a Facebook status update, kids are already creating a wave online. And they're not asked about that. I find that quite interesting. I wonder in years to come how children are going to feel about their lives being documented without their permission, their digital footprint being created from a very early stage. I've got a young son, he's 2.5, and I find his technology timeline fascinating. My first piece of tech looks something like that. Is that familiar to anybody in the room? There's a lot of you are younger than me, I think. But this is my son's first piece of technology. He doesn't have his own iPad. He generally uses mine. But just thinking of the functionality available to him in that piece of tech. I mean, interestingly enough, I did have opportunities to broadcast from my Fisher-Price cassette player because there was a record option, so creativity was being fostered even back in those days. But I'm really interested in kids broadcasting, how they're broadcasting, who they're broadcasting to, and who's helping them to think about the sorts of things that they're broadcasting. But obviously, whilst kids are young, they're generally consuming. But they're quickly moving on to use social networks, making friends that their parents, their carers aren't necessarily aware of. Obviously, sites like Moshi Monsters have incredible infrastructure in place, moderators. So kids are participating in quite a walled garden. The problem comes, or the interesting period of development comes when kids hit adolescence. If you can't read that at the back, if you don't do stupid things while you're young, you'll have nothing to smile about when you're old. I'd like to give you all a few of my very precious 300 seconds just to reflect on the stupid things that you did when you were growing up. Now, some of you, as I say, are younger than me, and so some of you, I'm sure Facebook has played a large role in your own, your growing up. But adolescents are growing up with a magnifying glass over their risk-taking. You know, being an adolescent, being a teenager is full of taking risks. How do you learn if you don't take any risks? But what if those risks are documented? What if those risks are not just a digital footprint, but become a tattoo that is difficult to erase? And I do a lot of work in and around this idea with young people, sort of identifying what is safe risk, which is and the sorts of things that may catch children and young people out. Poor Paris ended up being caught out. I don't know if some of you are aware of this case. It happened around Easter, and Paris was given an amazing opportunity to work with Kent Police, I think. But obviously there was a huge amount of media interest in and around a young person being appointed to work with the police. A positive story about teenagers. And no offence to anybody working at The Guardian, but of course journalists were eager to sniff out a story here. But it came at the expense of Paris's job. Ill-advised tweets coming to catch her out and meaning that she lost out on an amazing opportunity. So kids' risk-taking activities can put themselves at risk. But I think it's quite interesting to think about things from an industry point of view as well. So with industry, some of you working in startups maybe, working in exciting areas of development in technology, perhaps services that young people are going to be using, under 18s are using. You know, what could happen if a child protection issue comes up? How are you protecting those younger users? Because there can be expensive and massive implications for your brand if you don't have those sorts of things in place. So just a few things to think about. Just if you've got under 18s using your services, think about putting parental resources in place so that they're able to keep up to date with what your service offers, what you do if something goes wrong, reporting procedures, those sorts of things. And one thing I think of massive importance, I imagine all of you here have an idea of technology and the power of technology. Some of you may be parents. What are you sharing with your kids about their attitudes to online safety. Those of you who are cousins, aunties, uncles, whatever, be that person with technology know-how and prompt those conversations to get started in the families that you know. Thank you very much.